We are Maria
and Nicole. We're two secular homeschooling moms that have
been there, done that. Welcome to the Been There, Done That Homeschool Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about homeschooling kindergarten. If you've made the decision to homeschool your little one, congratulations. We'll be guiding you through how to begin homeschooling kindergarten. We're going to be talking about what your kindergartner needs to know and what a day in the life might look like and help you navigate the world of curriculum choices. This is such a fun age and it's going to be an adventure for your entire family.
And as usual, we want to stress that our podcast is an inclusive space for your everyday parents that are looking for education options. We are not here to convince you to homeschool. We want to stress that you need to do what works for your child and for your family.
Every family's different.
Absolutely. And you know your children best. So feel free to take what advice or information you get from here that works for you and chuck the rest.
Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Maria. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. I know. I feel like it's been a long time.
You had a big trip.
We did. We went to Nashville for the North American Irish Dance Championship.
And Jackson did great, right?
He did, and so did Jillian. They both, that was her first time, like, making it to the final round. And
really?
So we were, super exciting.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
I love that for them.
So we had a great time, and I've been to Nashville, but it's been years, and my kids have never been. Have you been to Nashville?
I have, yeah. I've been there once. We drove through, but really we spent all our time in Tennessee last time in Memphis.
Oh, yeah, we've been to Memphis. I love Memphis. But Nashville's super cool. Like, just music everywhere. Like, Cameron would love it.
Okay, maybe I do need to take him.
But yeah, it was fun. We did the Country Music Hall of Fame, and of course we had to go to the Parthenon, which, if you remember from the Percy Jackson.
Of course.
I forget if it was in the Percy Jackson books and the movie, or if it was the movie only. Because I know they go to St. Louis and one of them. I don't remember. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. Jack made a video of him doing a flip. I think you saw it.
The video is so silly. It's like a cutout of he's going to jump and do a flip. And then it's a cutout of his body virtually does a flip.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb. It's funny.
Yep. And he's like, we're here at the Parthenon in Athens, Greece, which we're clearly in Nashville in this picture.
Oh,
it's funny. But it was good. So.
Well, okay. Well, we are so excited because school is going to begin soon, and some people are beginning homeschooling for the first time with the kindergartner.
I know, it's so exciting. And, kindergarten is such an amazing, exciting time for both parents and kids.
Right. And maybe the idea of homeschooling is completely new to you, or maybe you've been researching the topic for a while and you've just finally decided to pull the trigger.
Don't forget to check our Getting Started page if you're just starting out. And on there, you're going to find all kinds of resources to get you started, like finding balance between multiple children, dealing with naysayers when you're starting off, socialization questions. That's always the question of the day.
Right.
And just more to guide you as you begin.
Right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So how do you begin homeschooling kindergarten?
Well, the first step is to find out what your state requires. I feel like this is the first step for everything we say on the podcast.
Say this,
first
right?
step is to find out what your state requires. So every state has different rules for homeschooling. It is legal in all 50 states, but it is important to research your state's homeschool law before you start. And note that there is often a difference between what a state requires for homeschoolers and what a state requires for public school students. And sometimes these are not the same things at all.
Right. In many states, there's a minimum age in which a child can register for public schooling. And then there's a compulsory age, and that's when they must start school. Kindergarten is often not required at all in most states. So don't get too wrapped up in thinking you absolutely have to have your child homeschooling with a full curriculum at 5 years old, because that's just the minimum age to start kindergarten in school. In many states, the compulsory age is 6 or 7, so you probably have another year or more.
Right. And I've probably mentioned this before, but I lived in another state when my older two started homeschooling, and it had a more defined age of when you had to start than when my youngest started here in Texas. And somewhere along the line, I missed a grade.
Oh, I remember, because it was Girl Scouts. You were right in the midst of Girl Scouts.
Yeah, we figured it out in Girl Scouts because I was trying to figure out what level she was in, and I said this one, and the leader was like, "Are you sure? Because all the girls her age are in this one." And I was like, "Oh my goodness." I mean, what a homeschooly thing that is, what grade am I in? You're whatever grade the activity you want to do requires you to be.
Right. Well, Cameron's in high school, and somebody actually asked him this just the other day, and we were both like, well, because we're kind of doing a super senior year, so we're kind of 9th-ish, 10th-ish.
Right.
And I was laughing. We left there. He had no words. He's 16 years old, and he does not know what grade he's in. And I was laughing. I'm like, you're such a homeschooler. He's like, Mom, that is not a funny thing.
Well, I know, and sometimes they mix it up with freshman, sophomore, junior. Like they're just starting to do the numbers now. We never did the numbers, so then they're like throw freshmen in there, and they're like, oh, wait, what?
Exactly. And so anyway, getting back to the state laws. So to make this easier for you, we created a complete guide that lists each state's homeschool laws, and we summarize all this information, including the compulsory age and the subject and testing requirements, which vary from state to state. And don't worry if your state has stricter rules. Remember that homeschooling, like Nicole said, is legal in all 50 states. And I said this on last week's episode, but you absolutely are within your rights to homeschool. So you got this.
You totally have this. So what does my kindergartner need to know? Well, when I answer this question online, I always tell people that my kindergarten advice actually does not vary that much from my preschool advice, other than maybe adding a learn to read program if they are ready. And my preschool advice is to read lots of picture books together, do messy art and science projects, cook in the kitchen, have lots of imaginative building toys like blocks and Legos and trains, spend tons of time outside, go for nature walks, get some binoculars and a magnifying lens, specimen jars, some local bird, wildflower, and tree guides, and take them with you on your outdoor adventures. Sing, dance, play musical instruments, get a tub of dress-up clothes, play board games for math. Preschool is so much fun.
We actually have a podcast episode on this topic, so we will put the link on our show notes for you. Homeschool kindergartners engage in a wide range of activities and lessons that are designed to foster their early learning and development. And while homeschooling approaches may vary, here are some common areas of focus for homeschool kindergartners.
One would be basic literacy skills. Kindergartners learn foundational skills in reading and writing. They explore letter recognition, phonics, and phonemic awareness. They practice writing letters, words, simple sentences, and they also develop listening and comprehension skills through read-aloud sessions and discussions.
And they are also introduced to early reading strategies. They learn sight words, practice decoding simple words, and engage in guided reading activities. They may explore age-appropriate books and stories, building their reading fluency and their comprehension. We have an episode that's dedicated to teaching reading where we give you lots of tips and tricks. So if you're at that stage right now, that's there to help you out.
Yeah. When it comes to math, kindergartners are focusing on developing their numeracy skills. They're learning number recognition, counting, maybe some basic addition and subtraction concepts. They're exploring shapes and patterns and measurement. Hands-on activities and manipulatives will help them understand mathematical concepts in concrete and engaging ways. We have a blog post with all of our math games on there,
Right.
Tons of them. They're so much fun.
Right. They're divided by concepts, so it's real easy. Whatever you're trying to learn, you can just go right there to that.
It's awesome.
And young children are naturally curious about the world around them, so science and nature studies should be incorporated into their curriculum.
Oh, yeah.
They should explore basic scientific concepts like weather and plants and animals and the 5 senses. They may engage in simple experiments and observation-based learning and nature walks to nurture that curiosity. My kids love to do experiments at this age, and every single day we were doing an experiment. We listed a lot of them in our elementary science episode with tons of resources, and you should definitely check that out. One of our favorite activities at this age was the celestial hike. It's completely free to download from our website, and my kids can still tell you all about the solar system from this activity alone that we did when they were so little.
Yeah, it's amazing. That stuff sticks with you for sure. Kindergartners are also working on social skills and emotional development. They're learning important social skills like sharing, taking turns, cooperating with others. They develop their emotional awareness and understanding of their own feelings and those of others, and they can engage in activities that promote empathy, kindness, and problem-solving skills. It's a great age for introducing some chores and like good habits and manners.
Yes, and this age is perfect to provide opportunities for artistic expression and creativity. Do lots of art projects using different mediums and explore imaginative play through dress up. These kinds of activities are going to help them with so much development, like those fine motor skills and expressing their ideas and really fostering their creativity. Pre-K and kindergarten were the ages that I started to make little books for my kids. I'm a really fast typer, and I would sit at the computer and they would recite their stories to me that they made up. And I would type them out for them, and I would print them out into these little books, and they loved them so much, and we would just cuddle up on the couch and read those over and over again. You know, just foster that creativity.
Yeah,
They have so many stories to share.
Yeah.
So.
And did they draw little pictures to
They
go
did,
with?
of course. I had
awesome.
blank pages in there for them to do that and illustrate that.
So cute.
And over the years, I've started 3 separate art groups in different stages of our years. And we got friends together, and I hosted here in my home. Every week, we would create something magical. The kids would have snacks, and it was just such a great time. We'd do sculpting or painting or drawing or so many things. We did stepping stones out of concrete. Got the wheelbarrow out for that one.
I remember that.
Some of my favorite times were doing art, and often the young toddler siblings would join in.
Oh, yeah.
And that was
it's
always
for
fun.
everybody.
Yeah, and I've talked about it before, but Sir Ken Robinson's TED Talk, I'll link that here in our show notes for anybody who hasn't seen it. It's one of the most viewed TED Talks ever, and it will really open up your eyes and make you think about how essential creativity is to the learning process.
Physical activities and playtime are also essential for kindergartners' development. They can engage in gross motor activities, games, exercises that promote coordination and balance and overall physical well-being. And it's also sometimes completely necessary for them to burn off some steam before they sit down to do a little lesson with you.
That's true. This age learns best through a combination of structured lessons, hands-on activities, play, and exploration. And the focus is on fostering a love of learning and building a solid foundation for future and academic pursuits. And it's also a time when they're developing socially and emotionally.
Exactly. And we know that parents want to know exactly what to do and what skills to master. So we've come up with this kindergarten skills checklist. And we've done it by kind of combining some resources with the book Home Learning Year by Year and what your kindergartner needs to know, and then combining basic state standards, and that helps us set goals for language arts and math for each grade.
Right. And recently a listener, Jenny, reached out and she was looking for a list like this, and I referred her to one of these books that Nicole just mentioned. But Jenny really inspired me to create this summary skills and checklist for each grade. And this by far is not a comprehensive list, but it is the free resource summaries that I created this week that you can download from our show notes. I created a list for every single grade from pre-K all the way to 12th grade, and I really hope that you find it useful, but be sure to just use it as a basic guide of skills for those language arts and math stepping stones. And the book that Nicole mentioned is definitely going to have so much more information, so I would highly recommend it. But if you don't want to buy it, you can probably find it at the library. I know I've seen it at the library or half-price books.
And these goals can become your benchmark for the year, allowing you to use various resources and activities to achieve them. This checklist can let you be interest-led while still meeting academic goals. And remember that there's no behind in homeschool. So choose goals that fit them best. If your child's mastered a lot of these skills, that's great. You've got this either way. So let's go over that kindergartner list now. And you don't have to remember these by heart. Remember, you can download the free PDF out of our show notes. And we're kind of focusing here on basic language arts and math. So 1, knows the upper and lowercase letters of the alphabet, knows the letter sounds for all the consonants and short vowels, able to blend short words like CAT.
Also understands syllables and able to count them. recognizing their name in print. They should know age-appropriate sight words.
Right? They should be able to start ordering pictures in a proper sequence for telling a story. They can listen and respond to a variety of literature, fiction and nonfiction. Know how to hold a pencil properly, though I still don't know how to hold a pencil properly. I've never held one properly.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen you write. I
know.
don't think that.
It's weird. Teachers always were like, this is one I disagree with. I don't think your kindergartner needs to know this.
Okay, when we're done recording, I want you to write something. I want to see this. Okay, so the next one is that they should have an understanding of how to write upper and lower case letters. They should be able to group objects into sets. They should be able to identify and continue repeating simple patterns and have the ability to count from 1 to 30.
They should be able to identify ordinal positions, 1st to 5th, know the meaning of the plus and the minus sign. Maybe they are able to add and subtract numbers from 1 to 10, and identify some coins, pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters.
Also, know what a thermometer is and what it measures. Know the days of the week in order, and identify right and left hands, and tell the time to the hour.
Which I have a funny story there. My mom brought over all of these workbooks when my kids were kindergarten age, and they were all like how to tell time, and they were really, really hard. We looked at them and they were impossible to do. And I was like, what? These are nuts. And I was looking up somewhere, and I guess telling time used to be like a 2nd grade skill. It's really not something that they need to know all of the different sides. In fact, it's hard to, there's fractions involved and all of that. That's not really like something that they need to know. But they can know things like the half hour or how much time before the hour starts and things like that. The very basic.
Right. Well, I put on the skill list that the hour hand points to a number.
Yes.
Basically, it's the beginning infancy of learning how to tell time. But learning to tell time is typically not a skill set for kindergarten.
Exactly. So just a reminder that this is a weekly episode. We drop one every Thursday morning just for you. And if you have any additional ideas or comments, please come and comment on our Facebook page, on the episode thread, or send us an email at info@btdthomeschool.com. We'd really love to hear from you.
We really would. We've been getting some great feedback, so keep it coming. So before we get into what a day in the life of a kindergartner looks like, we wanted to give you a summary of the best tips for homeschooling kindergarten. So here they are.
Number 1, read a wide variety of fiction and nonfiction books every single day. We talk about that all the time on here. Number 2, keep your lessons short. Number 3, go outside for field trips, museum visits, exploring in nature. Number 4, be flexible with time and routines. Take a break from curriculum to follow interests. Number 5, take time to review and revisit what you've been doing along the way. You always want to be adaptable and flexible in what you do. Get creative when teaching concepts. There's so many different ways to learn. Use lots of hands-on activities. That's like hands down the best way kids learn at this age. And lastly, have lots of play and social time.
That's a great 8-step guide.
It really is. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to a day in the life of a homeschool kindergartner. What does that look like? We have an entire episode about schedules, routines, and rhythms where we talk about organizing your day. While a rigid schedule is definitely not needed for small children, including kindergartners, many kids do benefit by having a pattern to their day. Kids like to know what's happening next, and it gives them confidence and security. And also having an informal routine or rhythm can really help make your day move more smoothly.
Oh, for sure. I love a nice routine. Here's a sample schedule for a homeschool kindergartner. So keep in mind, again, flexibility is key, and you can adapt this schedule to fit your child's needs, interests, and the rest of your family, too. You might not just have this one kid that you're working with here. So, for instance, 8:30 a.m., your morning routine and circle time. You can start the day with a morning routine like getting dressed, brushing your teeth, having breakfast. You can gather for a little circle time where you sing songs and recite rhymes and discuss the day's plan. I talked in another episode that I got my kids to come for our morning time by letting them light a candle. Because, all kids are little pyromaniacs.
They are.
And the candle served no purpose other than to get everybody there.
And then you may move on to maybe 9 a.m. literacy, and you may focus on literacy activities like letter recognition, phonics, or sight word practice. And be sure to engage in read aloud sessions and shared reading activities. We love to emphasize reading. You may want to introduce mathematical concepts through hands-on activities, counting exercises, or simple addition-subtraction games. Use manipulatives or visual aids to support understanding. We love manipulatives and base block 10s in our homeschool.
And the counting bears.
The counting bears.
At 10 o'clock, you could take a little snack break, have some free play, provide a nutritious snack or not, allow some time for unstructured play or exploration. And then at 10:30, rein them in for some science or nature studies. Explore science topics related to nature, whether in animals. You can do some simple experiments like you were talking about before, or engage in observation-based activities. I think we were talking one day about, didn't you have like a weather thing?
Every morning.
Well,
we did that in the first thing in our morning. We would do our calendar where they would put the number of the day on the calendar.
Yeah.
And then we would literally go outside and look at the weather, and they would I Velcroed them. I got them from the dollar store and laminated them. And we would put that on the calendar and what the weather was like that day.
Cute.
So it helps them understand. And also we did hurricane trekking. We did the trekking charts.
We had a really cute book that we built like a whole weather observation set. It was one of those Williamson hands-on. I'm going to have to find that.
An anemometer. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and a sundial. We did a lot of activities.
There's a lot of weather. We have to do a weather episode.
Yeah. At 11 a.m., you might move on to art and creativity. You really want to encourage artistic expression. You could do it through drawing on paper or sidewalk chalk, painting or crafting. And this develops creativity and those fine motor skills. And maybe at 11:30, you move on to PE. You can do things like dancing or yoga, kicking a ball outside, going on a hike, riding a tricycle, or just simple exercises. Play active games that promote coordination and those gross motor skills, jumping and hopping on one leg and all of that.
By then you'll be hungry, so maybe at noon, come in for a lunch break, have a healthy lunch together as a family, and then get outside for some fresh air. Maybe go to a homeschool park day, do some nature hiking, get your outdoor time in then.
Right. Don't forget to involve them in those chores on cleaning those dishes.
Yes.
That's a skill in itself.
Exactly.
Maybe at 1 o'clock you do more social skills and emotional development. You can focus on activities that promote those social skills like empathy and emotional awareness. If you're at a play day, help your child learn to share or how to be a friend. You could also go on a field trip with friends. We love doing that, to a museum or a wildlife refuge. There's so many places to go.
Oh, yeah.
These interactions were cornerstones for us at that age.
Absolutely.
Engage in conversations. If you're home, you can role play or play cooperative games or do a puzzle together. I love those really fun cooperative games where everybody works together for a common goal.
Yeah. Then after that, maybe at 1:30, you do some theme-based learning. Choose a theme like community helpers or seasons or animals and explore it through various activities. You can read books, watch educational videos, engage in hands-on projects related to whatever that theme is. We talked about that a little bit when we covered unit studies in our last episode.
I love unit studies at this age.
Yeah.
Maybe at 2 o'clock, you might have some independent reading quiet time. I really valued my quiet time. Even after my children were done nursing, I'm like, I need that quiet mommy time. So have books that your children love available all the time and encourage them to read or do quiet activities like those puzzles or drawing. Many children aren't reading yet, but they probably have their favorite book memorized and they love to look through those. Provide a cozy space and some sort of quiet exploration area. We always had an art area with paper and colored pencils that were available all the time. Remember, learning doesn't stop when school's over, and kids are always learning, and having those things available keeps them engaged.
Keep in mind that even though we've stuck, random times in here, that doesn't mean you need to be doing these activities for that full time slot until the next one. Really, kindergarten shouldn't take more than 30 minutes to an hour to accomplish a day. But you can do a few minutes here and a few minutes there. Remember, those short lessons are really where it's at.
Right. I created this meme that we'll share in our show notes, but it shows kind of what you should expect on how long you should spend during each stage of your child's school years. So that should help guide you. Anyway, so moving on, please remember that this is just a suggested schedule, like Nicole said, and you can modify it accordingly to your child's needs and your family's routine. And flexibility is going to be key. So don't forget to include breaks and playtime throughout the day. When my kids were this age, we had a school routine that was basically do the next thing until I saw that my kids had an interest in something. And then I would plan a unit study around that for them. And kids are going to learn more and retain more when they're interested in what they're learning. So don't be afraid to follow their lead and move away from that curriculum. And after you finish listening to this episode, be sure to visit our website. We're going to write up all of the show notes and have links to everything that we're talking about, so it's just really easy for you to access and reference. Every week, I like to create free resources that complement that episode, so be sure to sign up to our newsletter so you don't miss any of that exclusive content. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, we would love it if you went out there and gave us a thumbs up or even comment on the episode thread.
So, Maria, what curriculum should I use, though?
I know everybody has this question. Everybody wants to know what curriculum should they use. I remember when I first started homeschooling my kids, and I know how exciting yet overwhelming it can be to find the perfect curriculum for kindergarten. But here's the thing. You might not even need a formal curriculum at this stage at all. Remember, the skills that we listed earlier are just a guide, and many of the skills can be mastered through play. Research actually suggests that play-based learning is the way to go for young children like yours, and isn't that wonderful? You can create a rich learning environment right within the comfort of your house.
I love that.
Yeah.
But I know that some of you are still going to want to buy curriculum and get started, and that's okay too.
Right.
It really is. But before we dive into the various curriculum options available, I want to share again that our podcast episode and webpage, What Should Your Preschooler Know?, has fantastic ideas that really work just as well for a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old. It's packed with valuable information, and it even includes resources that celebrate the power of play in education.
Right. And this playful path to learning is such a joyous journey for your child. It allows them to develop age-appropriate skills without any pressure or need for perfection. But I really do understand that you might still want some structure and reassurance that your child is covering important areas of kindergarten.
Right. And last week we had an episode called 7 Steps to Choosing Homeschool Curriculum. And the focus there may have been a little bit more on older children.
Right. So let's explore some popular publishers who offer homeschooling curriculum for this stage.
So, number 1, nature-based kindergarten curriculum. If your family loves spending time outdoors and believes in the power of nature, these publishers might be a good fit. They emphasize connecting children with the natural world and offer engaging activities and projects. One would be Oak Meadow, another is Blossom and Root, and a third is Magic Forest Academy.
And the next would be literature-based curriculum for families who cherish reading and enjoy incorporating related projects and activities. These curricula are perfect for you. They often cover science and social studies through captivating literature, 5 in a row or before 5 in a row, which is not secular, but it is easy to skip the Bible section on this.
Yeah, we
if
used
that's
that
what you
one.
wanted to do. So be aware. So there's also Torchlight. There's Build Your Library.
Love them.
There's Moving Beyond the Page. That's more of a neutral, and some people say it's not secular because there's this one post, but that gets controversial. So we're just going to blow over that, but it's a good literature-based curriculum. There's Bookshark. Now, note that Bookshark is marketed as secular, but it's really from the same people who make a non-secular or religious-based curriculum. So secular homeschoolers may want to proceed with caution on that one. There's also Wildwood, which is Charlotte Mason.
Yeah. And Charlotte Mason really doesn't advocate for kindergarten homeschool in general.
Right.
It's, more of a starting at 7, but those are programs that would work with that. Also, play-based kindergarten curriculum. So if you want to prioritize those awesome benefits of play that we keep talking about with homeschooling, these curricula encourage exactly that. One is called How We Learn, like WEE. And another one is Slow and Steady Get Me Ready, which I actually used that one. There's like a baby version of that, but now I see it goes all the way to kindergarten. So it was really cute.
Interesting. And then online curriculum. A lot of people, this has become more popular since COVID. And while kindergartners thrive with hands-on activities and interactions, some parents find online curricula helpful for additional support. And we actually don't subscribe to this method for younger learners. Kids have all the time in the world to be online. I have teenagers, I know this firsthand, and play-based learning is just so much better scientifically and more effective for this age. So we're really not going to suggest any online curriculum for this age.
No, you can always use apps and things for supplements, but we don't recommend doing your full core work online at all.
Right.
Traditional kindergarten curriculum, if you prefer a more regular school-like experience with textbooks and workbooks, these publishers may offer a more structured approach for you. Spectrum, which is a workbook program, Core Knowledge, Thoughtful Learning, and the Critical Thinking Company.
And then moving on to classical education for kindergarten. Classical homeschooling focuses on the 3 stages of learning. That's the grammar stage, the logic stage, and the rhetoric stage. This curriculum is based on the time-tested method, the well-trained mind. And then if you're specifically looking for resources to support your child's reading development, you might want to consider these options. Also, know that our Learning How to Read episode has a lot of great resources too, so be sure to check that out if you're at this stage. There's Pinwheels by Rooted in Language. There's All About Reading, which has picked up a lot of popularity recently. There's Logic of English, which tends to be a little more rigorous, but a lot of people like that one. Teach your child to read in 100 easy lessons. I know you've learned.
I used that one. Yeah.
Nicole. I wasn't a fan of that. It was a little too rigid for me, but my child at the time didn't like it. Teach your monster to read has also been popular recently. Bob Books. Love Bob Books.
Everybody loves Bob Books,
Love
right?
books anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's Night Zookeeper is another one of those.
Yeah. Moving on to kindergarten math curriculum. Math skills can be developed independently even during the early years of homeschooling. So here's a few reputable math curricula companies. Right Start Mathematics, Singapore, Saxon. Saxon's probably one you remember from when you were in school. Math with Confidence, Beast Academy, Math UC, technically not secular, and also Life of Fred, which is also technically not secular, but those are both programs that you and I have.
We've used them, we've enjoyed them, and it's quite minimal. And
right. And I mean, for some of them, there's not anything else like it.
Yeah, there's nothing else like those two.
Definitely, I would prefer to use a secular curriculum, but...
Okay, moving on to handwriting curriculum. Handwriting without tears. And this curriculum is widely used and focuses on multisensory approach to handwriting. We've used this not only for the basic handwriting book, but also we utilize the cursive handwriting without tears early on. There have been studies that show that young children do better making those curly cues with cursive handwriting as their motor skills are developing. I happen to believe that this is true, and so that's what we did. We actually did cursive first whenever it came to formal learning. There's Zahner Blosser handwriting.
Yeah, there's Getty Dubé italic handwriting. One of my kids did not want to do cursive, but wanted to do italics or calligraphy, so we moved on to those. They're kind of for all ages.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's Peterson directed handwriting. There's Brave Writer, Write by Number, and Draw Right Now.
Right, and this was one of our favorites that we used for art and handwriting when we weren't using cursive handwriting without tears. So it's fun because you do copy work and then you draw whatever the story is.
They're so much fun.
They are a lot of fun.
And I think we talked about those in our Learn to Read episode too, because there was a link to
Yes.
somebody who'd put together these printable books that were awesome.
Well, yeah, I'll find those again and link them in the show notes. If you want to use Draw Right Now, we'll have the link for that, but then we'll also have the homeschoolers blog post that made all
that
those
created
free
those because they
printables.
were awesome, and we both used those. And remember that you don't necessarily need to follow a specific handwriting curriculum. You can also incorporate handwriting practice into your daily activities just by providing your child with opportunities to write, like writing letters, making grocery lists, using chalk, or creating simple stories.
Right. Additionally, don't forget to encourage your child to practice fine motor skills through activities like coloring and cutting and playing with manipulatives. These activities really help strengthen their hand muscles and improve their overall handwriting abilities. And when I didn't want a huge mess in my house with cut up paper, I would have my kids go outside and pick up leaves off the ground and cut them into shapes.
With scissors, that's brilliant.
Thank you.
I love that. Oh my gosh, I never thought about doing that.
Yeah, especially in the fall when there's so many leaves, they love to do that.
Oh my gosh. Well, ultimately, the choice of curriculum depends on your child's learning style, preferences, and goals that you have for their development. So consider what approach resonates with you and your child. And remember, make that learning process fun and engaging. And also, when it comes to handwriting, remember that there's a big difference between the physical act of handwriting and then foundational writing, which is sentence structure and detailing thoughts. I personally don't expect a ton of foundational writing like under 10 years old. So
right. Yeah,
that's not
too.
really a kindergarten thing that I would worry about too much.
Right. When I was talking about making those little books.
Yeah.
That would be more like foundational creation. And
Sure.
that would be the infancy of that.
Yes.
The precursor or whatever.
Exactly.
So we really made it a point to not recommend specific curricula on our podcast. And one of the reasons is that it's an ever-evolving thing. Curriculum companies come and go, some change resources, and there are constantly new things coming on the horizon. And we just saw some cool stuff at the recent homeschool conference that we went to and we spoke at recently. And we would have died to get our hands on that when our kids were younger.
Oh my gosh, right?
So much cool stuff.
Oh, yeah. And we've both been homeschooling a long time. And like, who knows if we would have used some of the things that we did use in favor of some of the stuff that's out now.
Oh, yeah.
So this list comes to you with either our personal recommendations or recommendations from other secular resources that we follow. We keep an eye out to stay current on what's new or what might be debatable or problematic with certain programs. You know, feel free to suggest new things to us, like where we really are. I'm always reading new books and we're getting new curriculum so we can look through it. So we can do some like unboxing videos and things like that of stuff that we really like and think would be useful.
And I just recently started this free resource Facebook group, and it has nothing to do with our podcast or us. We just happen to be the admins. But with that, I'm doing so much research and finding so many great resources, things that I've used in the past that I'm going back into my resources.
Yeah.
But also people recommend things to me all the time, and I always vet it. I'm not just putting crap out there.
Oh,
so,
same.
Anyway, so we hope this gives you some inspiration on what to do with your kindergartners and how to get started.
Be sure to tune in next week for episode 39, First Day of Homeschool. We're going to talk about how you celebrate your first day of homeschool, what are some of your not back to school traditions, and how do you start your very first lesson?
Right. We're going to have some really fun freebies for your first day of school.
Yes, we are. So we'll talk about all that and more.
See you next time.
Bye.
Cheers. Be sure to check us out on our website at btdthomeschool.com, as in been there, done that, btdthomeschool.com. You can join our mailing list and get news and updates on future podcasts, and be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at the BTDT Been There Done That Homeschool Podcast.